then let's open up for some questions. So, Derrick?
Thanks, Josh. It's great to have Cory here and his family. The last time I saw Cory was shortly after the accident when I had the pleasure of visiting him at his hospital room and could see right away just what a wonderful individual he is and what a great family he has. And this is someone who has such a great outlook on life, and he's such an inspiration to so many that when the idea came up from our scouting department, it was actually even before this year. We talked about it before when he was not draft eligible. And so it was something that we wanted to do. We just didn't know when, where, how. When they came up with the idea for a 34th round with Cory having worn 34, to me, as I said before, it was a no-brainer. And this is someone who we didn't just want to draft, as I've said, and we'll hopefully figure out how we'd like this individual to be in our organization. He's the type of person that fits our culture. He's got a great baseball mind. He's a wonderful personality. He's a good fit. But I applaud him during this journey because he has been just a hero to so many, and it's an honor to have him here, and it was even more of an honor for us to draft him.
Cory, you want to just come on, please?
First I'd like to thank Derrick and the Diamondback organization for what they did. It's nice to actually be here in person and thank them face to face. Phone calls for situations like this don't suffice in my mind, and for what they've done, it's tremendous. It shows what kind of organization the Diamondbacks are. Like Derrick said, he came and visited me in the hospital roughly 2.5 years ago, and from that point on, it was awesome. He came in and got my mind off of things, and we just talked and had a good time. So since then, I've always had tremendous respect for him and the Diamondbacks. And being a baseball player, I understand how the draft works and how it's meant to build the organization and to for future years to come. And the fact that even though that's the case, that they decided to make this pick and have me drafted, it's something that me and my family will be forever thankful for. And I'm just excited to be here to share the moment with them and enjoy the weekend and be able to actually meet everybody and thank everybody, just because this is something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
And I'll add that when you have your first pick, the organization gets so excited for the first pick, and it builds up, and that room is just like full of energy, and afterwards hugs and applause. With Brendan here and Ray and Susan, we all know the feeling. This pick was equally as exciting and special and energetic as that first pick. And I've never seen that room where we all gathered around the phone when we made that announcement. And afterwards there were, obviously there was applause, there were tears, there were smiles, there was hugs. We've never been prouder on draft day than we were in the 34th round when we selected this guy.
And I'd like to add in, my moment was a little bit different than that. I was on an airplane, so I had to keep it down. So it was something that, it was one of those mutual feelings that I got to share it with my mom and dad, and it was something that you become overcome with emotions, for something like this, and it's something that I'll be thankful for.
Hey guys, any questions? What did you do on the airplane when you heard?
Well, I hadn't taken off yet, so. But I had to, I answered the phone, and we were talking a little bit, and all of a sudden the stewardess comes on the airplane, talking about seatbelts, and I was like, oh, I can't hear you guys anymore, so I had to wait, and finally I was able to hear what happened. It was something that brought an instant smile to my face, and I had to put the phone away and turn it off. But it was something that I was flying from Jacksonville to Houston at the time, and that whole 2.5 hour flight was. The only thing on my mind was what just happened and how much of a special moment it is to me, and I could see it in my parents' eyes too.
Would you like to stay involved in baseball in some capacity, or do you know what you'd like to do going forward?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I've played this game since I was 3 or 4 years old. I've been introduced to it and fell in love with it right away. And it's something that as a kid and going through high school and college, I dreamt of being a Major League Baseball player. And after the injury, I did a lot of soul searching and kind of figured out what do I want to do. Do I want to return back to school? And I decided I want to get my degree and I want to stay in the game of baseball and figure out exactly how it was, whether it's front office, scouting, or whatever. And that's something that I do want to be a part of. And I'm very fortunate that the Diamondbacks have presented me with this opportunity to hopefully fulfill my dream.
And he had spent time with KT before, and KT had come to me afterwards and said, "Wow, you're right. This kid is great. He's special." And KT had the same reaction we did immediately, and felt the same way. So I think there's going to be a nice match there.
What department, Cory, are you going to fit in? You going to work with KT? You going to work with Derrick? Derrick, have you decided how Cory's going to fit in the organization?
Well, we haven't. We just started having some preliminary discussions. Actually, before I went to the Dominican, I was in the airport and was able to talk to Cory by phone, and we will. I mean, we've got time. He's got a year left of school. We want to figure out a way for him while he's in school to slowly get acclimated with our organization. If we can figure out what that might be, perhaps working with some of our player development folks, maybe our video over at Salt River Fields, make it easy for him just to start to transition over, and then we'll figure out what's best, whether he wants to get into scouting or if he wants to be on the player development side or work with our GM and assistant GM on in baseball operations. But there's plenty of possibilities. If he said, hey, I want to learn the business aspect, we can make that happen as well.
So he's calling the shots, huh?
He's calling the shots.
Yeah, it's yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm just thankful for this opportunity. There's so many different directions in the organization I can go, and the fact that they presented me with the opportunity to figure out exactly what I can and what I want to do. It's something that, and I'll be happy to try it all too. It's something, like Derrick said, I have a year left of school, so hopefully in the fall I'll be able to do some stuff and figure it out with balancing between school and stuff like that. And obviously for me, school is the most important thing. I've set out, that's been the biggest goal of mine, to get my degree and to return back to school. And so that's obviously first and foremost. But if we can make it work, I have no problem helping out in any way possible.
We told Gonzo we gave him his job so he could actually work.
What's your major?
Business.
How much have you learned these last couple years as a coach that maybe you didn't know as a player?
You learn the game's hard. I learned as a player, but seeing it from a different perspective, from sitting in the dugout all the time, you look at things and go, man, the game looks easy, but you understand it really isn't, and you understand what these guys are going through. When I was playing, I was always aware of what I was doing. I was always aware of how I was feeling mentally and physically. But now, being in a different aspect of it, I get to interact with the players and my teammates and friends and see what, when they're struggling, what they're like, and when they're on fire, what they're like. And I've learned those things. I've learned, different sides of the game that, instead of, as a player, I was an outfielder. So as an outfielder hitter, I focus on outfield and I focus on hitting. And now, analyzing the game as a whole, you learn a lot about different positions and how to help players out and pick up tendencies and stuff like that.
Well, it's the formal uniform.
Yep.
Jersey. Get that out of the way.
Back up a little bit towards the wall here. Here, guys. Thank you.
All right.
All right, well, thank you. I think some of you guys